What is the best position to control someone in a self-defense situation when you're on the ground? Now, I put out a poll recently across all my social media, and the #1 response that I got was back control. And it makes sense. You watch any combat sport that has any form of grappling in it, and you will see just how dominant this position is. And mount is probably a close second. However, when it comes to fighting in the street, those are probably some of the last positions that I would want to find myself in. So for today's video, I'm going to show you what I believe to be the best 5 positions to control someone in a self-defense situation when you find yourself on the ground. Now, before we get into those exact positions, I want to explain to you my criteria for picking those 5 positions, and I want to explain to you why I believe that back and mount control in particular falls short. Now, the criteria that I have for picking these 5 positions is, #1, I have to ensure myself that I am protected if there are multiple attackers, or at least that I could protect myself if there were multiple attackers. I have to understand that there could be weapons involved. So therefore, I have to not only be able to control my attacker's weapon, but I also have to be able to access whatever weapons I might be carrying. I need to control the hands, and this is honestly one of the biggest ones. I have to be able to control my attacker's hands, because again, if I don't control their hands, not only are they reaching for a potential weapon, they could be reaching for my weapons, or they could even be throwing strikes. And ultimately, I need to be able to see as much of my surroundings as possible. Because again, I'm not trying to get caught off guard. Now, let's focus on back control for a moment, because if we watch a lot of fight videos in which jiu-jitsu is used in self-defense situations, you tend to see a lot of people go to the back. Again, it's an extremely dominant position. You see it all the time in sport, so it's normal that people who train jiu-jitsu are going to take a dominant position in sport and translate it directly into the street. On a side note though, I did see a video in which a jiu-jitsu practitioner throws a bad guy into a crucifix on the street, and honestly, I thought that was pretty badass. But nonetheless, when I am on somebody's back, as dominant as the position is from like a submission point of view, it leaves you extremely vulnerable. Not only am I completely tied up with this person, because chances are you're going to have your hooks in, you're going to have some form of seatbelt grip, or you're going to be hand fighting with them, but I'm also on my back on the street with another full-grown individual on top of me. So for whatever reason, if I need to be able to get back to my feet or get out from underneath them, it's not going to be something that I can do in a moment's notice. There's going to be several steps that you need to do. So if somebody starts bum rushing you, maybe this dude's got a friend and they see that you're beating up on them and they rush you to hit you, you're stuck there. And again, completely vulnerable and exposed. In addition, I can't throw that many strikes from this position. You can try and throw some punches. They can easily block it. Yes, you could try and drop some elbows from the back of their head. Again, they can just as easily protect it. So you are limited on your strikes. If you're not the best at submissions, you may have a hard time trying to submit this individual as well. A big red flag for this position in the street is that I have no idea what is going on in front of them. I can't fully see the personnel. So if I am not able to physically control their hands, I have no visibility on their hands, which means that they are carrying a weapon of some sort. I'm not going to have any idea that they're reaching for or grabbing for until that weapon is in play, until they start stabbing me or until they start firing off a couple shots. And at that point, it's too late for me. So in other words, if you are one that believes back control is the most dominant position or the best position to control someone in a street fight situation, you are going to find yourself completely vulnerable from there. Now, it doesn't mean it can't work. And again, in a lot of these videos, it does in fact work, but I don't want to take the risk. And yes, mount is essentially the same principle, but instead of being on the person's back, you're on top. But I still have hooks in. I'm still tied up with their hands. I'm still vulnerable. I can't see what's behind me. I can't always access something without having to lean back, which again, it gives them the ability to use their hands. So again, in my opinion, mount is also a position that I'm not looking to go to. Now understand, jiu-jitsu is great for self-defense. I don't think there's a single practitioner who would deny that. However, there's a big difference between sport-based jiu-jitsu and using jiu-jitsu for self-defense. So that being said, let's get into what I believe are the 5 best positions to control someone on the ground in a self-defense situation. So position number 5 of my top 5 is going to be knee on belly. It is a dominant position. It's probably the one position where I do have the best range of view, and it's honestly probably the position where you can get back to your feet the quickest, because again, I can literally just stand straight up from here, right? But it does have its cons, however, and the biggest con is my ability to control their hands. Yes, this knee is going to create a lot of pressure. I can drive in. Some people might just give in to the pressure in the gut, and I'm completely content here, right? But if this person's really adamant about trying to get out of this situation and he really starts bumping and grinding with me, it's going to be hard for me to maintain control of these hands. I'm going to be forced to post. If he really drives up into me and I slip off, both hands are going to be down. So as much as I can stay on top and control, again, the biggest con with knee on belly in my perspective is the ability to control the hands. Other than that, again, I can easily move around the body. If he starts kind of just moving around, I can easily follow with him, right? I got a foot hooking his hip, so if he tries to drive up into me, it's harder for him to get my knee off. This foot, again, is creating that pressure. I can always switch if I need to. So again, somebody's coming up behind me, I have that ability to switch back. If for whatever reason hands were not an issue for whatever reason, I can create extra pressure by pulling up on the head or pulling up on the legs. Again, you can pull up on material clothing as well. And then most importantly from here, if I have the ability to kind of like stuff both hands, I can start throwing some punches. I can access my waistband for any weapons if I need to. But yeah, the biggest concern that I have with knee on belly, and the reason that I do bump it down to number 5, is simply just for the risk of trying to control the hands compared to having to post on the ground when they start moving. All right, so number 4 is going to be the stockade. This is a great position to utilize for control. The big con from this one, it's a little bit more difficult to exit from this position because your arm's going to be tied up. It's not crazy difficult. It's easier than it appears, but out of the 5 that I'm showing you, it is definitely the hardest to disengage from. Now, when I'm getting to the stockade position, traditionally, I'm going to secure side control from here. The big detail is I want to have this arm up on my hips. For whatever reason, if he's got this elbow down and he's framing off those hips, this is a no good for me because, again, the more pressure I start pressuring in, he's going to be able to start framing, creating that space, and again, it makes it troublesome. So I want to make sure that however you get this arm up, I elevate this arm, I'm going to establish this crossface, and then when I'm looking to get to this stockade position, yes, I do need to isolate this arm, and then I want to make sure that I scoot up at a 45-degree angle. I can hit the stockade from here, but you get a big, strong dude, you got guys with big shoulders, it's going to be difficult from this position. So when I shoot up at a 45 and I cut that angle a little bit, it makes it a little bit easier for me to access the stockade. Once I hit this mat or ground with this fist, I'm going to posture and I'm going to suck my hips in. So I'm in a good position. His arms are completely useless at this point. So again, it's a good way to control their arms. I do have a hand freeze that I can search if I need to. I can throw strikes if I need to. I can still access my waistband if I need to. Now again, the biggest disadvantage to this position is the slowness of being able to disengage, I should say, because of the fact that this arm is kind of trapped here. If he's really like posturing the head up, you might feel like your arm's stuck a little bit. Again, all I'm going to do is go limp arm and just pull this arm straight through. So it's not terribly difficult to get out of, but just understand that yes, I am tied up, I am pressuring and I am committed to him, but this is an uncomfortable position for him to be in. Then I still have a good visibility. If you've watched some of our previous videos, quick little side note, we have covered this position before where we show you some sleek submissions that you can hit from here. I'll post that above as well. But yeah, this is number 4, the stockade. Number 3 is Kessa. Some people know this as like the front headlock or side headlock position, right? Now this is what people traditionally think of, and yes, I can control someone from this position. The biggest detail obviously is this arm. So the I guess adjusted version that I do for a self-defense perspective is I want to control this far arm. So again, if I'm in like a side control position and I manage to secure and isolate this far arm, and I can isolate this arm up on my hip, again, I can pull up on the head, shift, and I can get off to this position. I'm not as concerned about controlling the head at this point. I'm going to make sure that I have a deep underhook on this arm. I'm bringing this arm all the way across. If you're an officer, you can grab your vest, I can grab my clothing, or I can simply just tighten this to my arm, and I'm going to pull up on the arm here. And I'm in a good position. I'm driving my weight down into him. Again, I've got his arms completely isolated. I still have decent amount of visibility. I am stuck down here a little bit, so it is a little bit more difficult to get back up to my feet from here. But that being said, I still do have access to my hands. Reason being, if I pull up on this arm and I reach all the way across, I can actually tie up both hands from here. I can still apply some strikes. I can access my waistband if I need to. Now, for whatever reason, if we feel like somebody's starting to approach us from another angle, you do have a nice transition where we can essentially go to like a north-south position from here. And all I'm gonna do is pull up on this arm, start going belly down, and I'm gonna walk this arm all the way across. Once we get to this position, I'm gonna take the other arm, I'm gonna pull it across as well, and now I'm going to hip in. And now from this position, I don't need my hands. I got both his arms crisscross. I'm pressuring down on top. It's not a comfortable position for Luis under here. And again, I can check his waistband. I can apply damage. If I need to disengage, and honestly, this would probably be the way that I would disengage from this position safely, is I would now post on the arms and work backwards towards his head and up. So that way, if this guy is looking to re-engage, not only does he have to track me, but he's gonna have to turn around compared to if I'm here and I just start kind of standing up, he's gonna come right up at me. So if you are looking to disengage, that's the way that I would work it, but that is number 3, Kessa. So number 2 is gonna be side control, and I'm going to modify this, and honestly, this is the way that I would use it in a self-defense situation. It's also the way that I use it in sport because of the fact that it eliminates his ability to use his hips and legs against me, right? So traditional side control, if we're talking like what's the ideal position, again, I want the crossface. Ideally, you want this arm up. If you have a crossface, the idea is that you have your opposite arm on the hip. That way, if he tries to scoot away from me, that arm blocks it. If he tries to turn into me, my crossface is blocking it, and your knees are typically spread out a little bit more. This is kind of like what the white belt level side control, right? What I'm talking about for self-defense and the way that I teach this as like a control for combatives is I want to actually shift my body as high up as I can on his chest. So essentially we call this like side crucifix position, right? I'm completely up on top of his chest. So now if he were trying to use his hips, trying to recompose or do anything to get his knees up in here, there's really not much that he can do. Now, options with this arm, because again, I want to control all aspects of this position. You can keep this arm scooped up here, right? Not much that he can do, even if I was carrying a firearm on my hip for whatever reason, or again, officers, they can't really access it from that position because of the way that I have his arm pitched and the way that I'm controlling it with my hip and my elbow. The other option that you have from here is I can have this arm pinned and I can look to control it with my shin. I can split and use both shins. I can use either or, it doesn't matter. You can do that by, again, when we're in this kind of position as we're working to side control, I can post this arm down, get my shin, and work up from there. Or if he's really giving me a hard time, I can control, bring my leg up and over, control it, and then again, I'm going to position my body so that we're more higher up on the chest, again, the side crucifix. Now the far arm from here, I either want to have an underhook, where again, I'm grabbing it nice and high. I'm either going to be completely on the other side where I'm using my head as a post as well. And if I'm doing this, my crossface hand is going to grab inside to his armpit. So now I drive that shoulder in. I've got his head controlled. I've got his arm nice and high pitch. My head can create pressure. So if he tries to pull his arm back down, my head can block it, which gives me access to use this hand to, again, search if I need to. I can apply damage if I need to. I can access weapons if I need to, right? Now, obviously, if I'm hunkering down like this, it's hard for me to check my surroundings. So the ideal position for this would be to go to a reverse crossface, completely isolate or control the arm or pin the arm in this position. And again, I'm checking and controlling my six and just, making sure that I have all angles covered. Some people might argue that this guy might try and bite me. If that's the case, again, I got hammer fists, I got elbows, it's not gonna be doing that much. I can also adjust and drive my hip into him if I need be. So if I need to turn my attention over here, I can use my hips to apply that pressure as well. Side controls, honestly, in my opinion, one of the most dominant positions you have. It's a position that you learn day one in jiu-jitsu. Again, this is just a modified version for combatives. Now, number one, and honestly, one position that I've seen in countless videos of black belts controlling actual bad people in the streets is gift wrap. Now, there's a couple ways that we can hit the gift wrap position. I can hit it off of a side control where I'm on his side. I literally just have one arm trapped here. If I'm lucky, I can pretzel his arms and I get both trapped. And I can hang out here in side control just like we would before. I can posture up, check my surroundings, that's fine. I prefer to kind of go to a technical mount where I'm gonna be sitting up like this. I'm behind him, he's on his side, so he really only has two options. If he goes belly down, that's fine, I flatten him out. If he goes onto his back, that's fine, I settle into mount, or I work back into side control. So it's a good position for me to have him postured here. The nice part is that if I didn't have this arm controlled, there's not much that he can do with it. My leg and shin is blocking his access to grab anything from his waistband. I have full field of vision. I can apply strikes. I can also let go of this arm if I need to and just post behind the tricep. So if I need to switch hands for whatever reason, I can easily do that. And then yes, I can crank up on this posture in, hip in, and I'm just gonna create that much more pressure. But yeah, in my opinion, the gift wrap, other than like side control, gift wrap is hands down the number one position that I think anyone that's training self-defense needs to learn and master. Now, the reason I pick these 5 positions specifically is twofold. Number one, I'm on top the entire time. None of these positions I'm on my back. None of these positions am I tied up or have my hooks or anything in him, right? So I have the ability to pop up to my feet. I'm in a top dominant position, and more importantly, I can transition to any of these positions at any given moment. So for instance, if I'm in the knee on belly, and let's just say he explodes up into me, I lose those hands, I'm gonna right away look to get a cross face, and now we start working into like a side control position, right? We can start isolating things. If he's giving me a hard time, maybe this arm gets down, I can switch and I can work up into the stockade position. That's awesome. Or maybe we're working into side control, he's really kind of giving me a hard time, so I switch and I can go into this Kessa. And then maybe I work down here, transition the arm over, and I can use that to completely disengage. So you can literally interchange between all 5 of those positions pretty damn well. While ultimately staying on top and in complete control. So there you have it, the 5 positions that I feel are the best to control someone in a self-defense situation. I would love to hear what your thoughts are down in the comments below, but before you go, I want to leave you with this. When it comes to grappling in general, but especially when we are talking about grappling for self-defense, you need to remember the golden rules. Number 1, be the man on top. Number 2, when on top, stay on top. Number 3, when on bottom, have a guard that shall not be passed. And number 4, never forget rule number 1. Stay safe.